Greetings, this is General CJG here, coming to you with, well, a very special Expanded Universe podcast tackling our first ever Star Wars EU video game that we made a podcast in. I mean, we talked about video games in the past, but we never really done a full podcasting one. So this is the first one, and it is Star Wars Republic Commando. Oh yeah, we're going full Commando on this one. So joining me here, I got...
It's the Spider-Man Maniac reporting for duty.
I also got the Jedi Knight himself.
Hello everyone, Jedi Knight Luke here, and Rule 39, never say no to Bacta.
And also one more person. Introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, Django Fed here, ready to talk about my favorite Mandalorian squad.
Yes, indeed. So, without further ado, let's begin with our first experiences with this game. So, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
The first time I heard this game was actually sometime in 2017 or 2018. It was when Ackman decided to post a video about games that deserve a sequel. So I watched his video and I was interested. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who goes next?
I can go, yeah.
Okay.
So I remember I rented this game back in the time, and it's more of it actually was like a completely different experience from what I've experienced with Star Wars games in the past. It was more of a brutal right in the thick of the war, and it just blew me away of how they presented this game. And you're the Republic Commandos, and you're in the thick of it, and it's still like memorable to this day how unique the game was compared to all the other Star Wars games. So yeah, I had a great experience back in the day, and I still have played it countless times.
Nice. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Look.
Okay, so Republic Commando, for me, it's one of those games that I'd heard bits and pieces about in YouTube videos over the years, but I didn't get around to playing it for the first time until 2 years ago, if I recall correctly. I think it was November, December time of 2020 that I got it on Steam, and I was actually very impressed with it. And as someone who prefers playing as Jedi and Sith over the infantry of the Star Wars mythos, for this game to impress me as much as it did, well, let's just say I'm a bit of a convert.
That's something. Anything else?
No.
Okay, well, that leads to me. So my experience is somewhat different to yours. My first ever experience with this game was actually one trailer that was in the Star Wars Clone Wars 2003 DVDs. Because it had two trailers, one for the Episode 3 video game and Republic Commando. And that's where I got my first taste with Republic Commando itself, at least the first time I saw it. I didn't play it at that time. It was until years later when I got, if I recall, Star Wars The Best of PC collection that I got from Target in San Antonio. And I basically played on PC from start to finish, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Definitely was a very interesting game. And yeah, I mean, it is probably the only Star Wars game I could think of that gets very close to mature rated. Like the closest. So yeah, it was a unique experience and it was pretty awesome. So yeah, and I don't have much to say on this game. So yeah. So with that, well, I think now we should get into the game itself. So shall we begin with the very beginning, guys?
Okay.
Okay, well, we start with Act 1, Geonosis. So, who wants to make a very brief summary on what happens in Geonosis?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So, first, you are RC01/138, the elite of the Grand Army of the Republic. You are raised with your brothers. 62, known as Scorch, 40, known as Fixer, and 07, known as Seb. You are finally deployed at Geonosis, and you basically go blow a bunch of stuff, kill Geonosian, one of the Geonosian leader known as Sun Feg. You get the codes, escape from another ship, and then the war finally begins.
Mm. Oh, yes. Indeed. Well, Geonosis is pretty simple. They go and track down a Genosian lieutenant called Sun Fact. They kill him. Then they have to shut down separatist factories. They do that. Then they get some launch codes from a core ship, and they manage to do it. And yep, that's the most basic summary of the Geonosis Act. So, yeah. So, what do you guys think of this entire first act?
First, are we also gonna talk about the gameplay? Because story isn't that much. It does exist.
Yeah, we can discuss gameplay here too. So, indeed.
One thing you have to notice is that the ambushed enemy is stronger than what is normally in other FPSs. The reason I assume why it is designed this way is to have your squad all gang up to one enemy so they could all together destroy the enemy, rather than you basically doing all the job.
Hmm. Okay, interesting.
A prime example of this is the super battle droids.
Hmm.
You are not supposed to destroy this thing on your own using all your clip. Because, let me tell you, that is the dumbest thing you could do. The method you should be using is relying on your squad. So the four of you could take it down, or place your commando squad in places such as the grenade throwing positions, the sniper positions, or throw the EMP grenades while the battle droids are shocked.
Yeah, indeed. The game Republic Commando. Discussing the game design itself. So basically, this first-person shooter is basically a mixture of three first-person shooters. At least when it comes to how it's designed, it has the shield and health system from the first Halo game, as well as the heads-up display and helmet inspiration from, say, Metroid Prime 1, and it also has a simplified version of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six command system. So it's basically those three combined into one with the Star Wars IP. So it's basically all three of those all wrapped up into one in the Star Wars universe. And it manages to pull it off. Certainly pulled it off better than a later FPS that tried to replicate Republic Commando's command system and failed hard. I'm talking about Halo 5. So, yeah, it managed to pull it off and do it really well. So yeah, granted, some of the Republic Commando AI from your teammates can be hit or miss a few times, but when you manage to pretty much command them whenever you need them to do something or to be somewhere to do whatever, they can actually be pretty effective, especially in later difficulties. So yeah, definitely it managed to do it well, especially for first attempt, which is insane. So yeah. What do you guys got to say on the gameplay and the design of the game?
It's a very interesting game, this one, in terms of not just the genre, but the way it's designed, because it's really one of a kind in terms of its gameplay style, especially with the command system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. Very interesting. Django?
Yeah, I'm just going off of that. I do think it's very unique, like Luke said, and I don't think it's like one dumbed down shooter like Call of Duty by any means. It's not like that at all. It's more so like Rainbow Six, I guess. Not so much, I guess, in the modern terms, but sort of like the Tom Clancy games, where you command a squad, and we'll get into the squad a little bit later, but you command them to, take cover, to, fight the enemy, and you're the boss. I mean, that's his name, the boss. So you're the leader of your squad, and you have to tell them to do stuff, and you even have to, take care of them as much as possible, like you're the mother. And hey, get some health. Oh, pick up this ammo, stuff of that nature. and you can really be the one-man army too if you choose to be, but that's not the best outcome. Um, Definitely not the best, especially when you're facing off against big, giant, like bigger enemies of those nature.
Oh,
Um,
you're gonna have a frustrating time if you decide to do the whole thing alone.
yeah, absolutely. So it's necessary to fight as a team and not just a one-man army. And you definitely get plenty of weapons for sure. You can switch between the standard assault rifle, of course. Then there's the sniper. There's also the pistol as well. But with the assault rifle, it can actually switch between a sniper, and I think there's a
It
or
has
like a
three
rocket
modes. It's the
grenade launcher.
yeah. It has three modes.
Anti-armor.
Yeah, it has the blaster mode, the sniper mode, and the anti-armor mode. The anti-armor basically being a grenade launcher of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's plenty of weapons at your disposal, and you can also pick up the enemy's weapons too. So it adds even more variety of how you want to do it because you can't always just rely on your own weapons. Sometimes you have to pick up their weapons and do battle that way. And um, I don't know if we want to go into the different Genosian weapons as well, or you want to just save that.
There's not many. There's not many weapons when it comes to what you got outside of your standard DC-17. I mean, yes, we have the Genosian Elite's laser gun, which melts down the shit out of Republic Commando's armors. By the way, like that shit on medium and hard is like fucking difficult. You need to kill those motherfuckers as quickly as possible. Because
Yeah,
otherwise
the weird thing about it is like the Geonosian beam thing is really strong, even though you use it. Somehow it's more powerful when it's used against you.
It
When
is.
you use it against them, it's not as strong.
Yeah, somehow it is more lethal against the Republic Commandos compared to you using it against against them, which is that is something. So yeah, there's the Genosian Elite laser gun. Then we got the Trandoshan trench gun, which is basically like a shotgun of sorts. And then you got the LC heavy repeater from the Trandoshan Elite. Trandoshan Elite. And then of course you got the RCs, the submachine gun of the Trandoshan Mercs, and there's also a concussion rifle in there, and that's pretty much it as far as I know from guns. I don't think they have that
The
many. Oh, and the
bowcaster as well.
Wookiee rocket launcher, yeah, that too.
And Wookiee Bowcaster.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
the Wookiee bowcaster too. I also forgot about that. So yeah, that's all the weapons as far as I know. There's not many, though. I don't think
I'll
this game
definitely
needs.
talk about the
Oh,
I'll talk about the shotgun a little bit later.
when we get to Act 2. Okay. So yeah, that's all the weapons we got. And so yeah, though for Act 1, we just have the DC-17 and the Genosian Elite laser gun. So yeah. And the way the Geonosis is laid out, so yeah, you begin without your squad, but that doesn't last so long, and then we get pretty much get acquainted with how the game works, the mechanics and everything, and then of course we take down Sun Fac and then go to the factories and everything. Act 1 is basically like the beginning, like a bit of training wheels, but they get off rather quickly. So once you get to the I believe by the core ship, that's when things definitely start heating up. Especially since in that level they actually start bringing the big spider droids. Those fucking things. Those big
But
ones.
CJ, don't you want to talk about the beginning where you start off as a baby and you kind of train up to become this lead Republic Commando as well? That's like the
yeah.
training wheel, you know.
Oh yeah. Well yeah, but that's like very short. But yeah, we can talk about it. So yeah, what do you guys got to say on that part?
Yeah, Ton Wee is voiced by the same actors from Attack of the Clones. I forgot what her name was.
Rena Owen.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
So
interesting.
since, the actual actors, like, Boss is voiced by Tamara Morrison, the one and only. And she's also voiced by the actor from Attack of the Clones, which makes it more authentic.
Yep.
That's good. That's good.
And this is just what I'm saying. It's like, since you're you are the character who's voiced by Tamara Morrison, which while the other guys are voiced by other voice actors. I think there's like five other actors specifically designed for other clones. Like there's like a voice actor for random clone number 36 and another clone for random clone number 1138. Oh wait, is that me?
Well, the other clones that are not Boss himself, they definitely don't have that many. They're basically not using Tamora Morrison, which
Like you feel special because you are Tamara Morrison, while these other guys are not.
even though they're also Republic Commando badasses like you.
I mean, they are canonically. I think that's just only done that way because they thought Tamara Morrison didn't have enough range.
To distinguish between each. I mean, I guess, and to also put a personality to the different Republic Commandos, instead of just having them all be the same.
I mean, the other clone voice actors are also interesting. So because Seb's voice actor is the guy who is known for the clone voices for Battlefront 2,
Ah,
2005,
really?
and Scorch is voiced by none other than Kart Onasi.
That's something.
And I think Fixer's voice actor voices clones for Revenge the Sith video game.
Huh. That's interesting. So I guess everybody already had history with Star Wars.
And you are voiced by the man himself, Jango Fett Tamara Morrison.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You needed to have Tamora Morrison somewhere in there, at least in a big role. So, yeah, it's definitely awesome that is the case. Yeah, indeed. So, it's interesting that in the Geonosis level we actually get to see General Grievous' StarCraft. The one he used in Episode 3. And this is like right at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and Delta Squad notices, but they're like, we don't know what that ship is, and the advisor was gonna check the logs. I'm gonna assume he found jack shit.
I mean, that is a interesting continuity note, because I do believe Labyrinth of Evil does state that Grievous was somewhere in Geonosis, and
Yeah.
that's when he first killed a Jedi.
Yeah, there had already been sources saying that Grievous was indeed already there in Geonosis. So this isn't really a retcon or a contradiction. So he was already established there.
It's not even an Easter egg to me, because like that just indicates that Grievous is somewhere in the planet.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and yeah, it was indeed Labyrinth of Evil, and another story called Unknown Soldier: The Story of General Grievous. So those two said that yeah, Grievous was already there in Geonosis. So there is that. So yeah.
It's funny with what you guys were saying about Grievous, and I know I'm kind of going into spoilers just a little bit, but as if seeing Grievous' Starfighter wasn't surprising enough, well, if you know, you know.
We'll get to that point, look. So yeah. Anything to discuss on Geonosis itself?
I do. The reason why you continue the mission on after assassinating Unfeg is due to RC-1136, mostly known as Darman, and Darman's squad dying. This is further elaborated in the novel Hard Contact. And I think that one of the missions is literally called Hard Contact.
The Hard Contact mission actually appears during the Kashyyyk section.
No.
Really?
Well.
So yeah, so if you wanna learn why, what happened to this 3-6, ask for Republic Commando Hard Contact. His squad basically got massacred in that book, and he was the only survivor. That's why you're doing their mission.
Yeah, there's that indeed. One thing I gotta mention in regards to the International Geonosis campaign is I like how the campaign is designed in regards to what you're going to be tackling in the levels themselves. Like you fight of course many droids, you fight Geonosians. The design of the Geonosians was pretty interesting. Like compared to what we see in Attack of the Clones and several other media, the Geonosians here have like a somewhat of a different design. Like they look definitely on a very mature level. Like pretty different compared to what we see in all other media. Like it's some crazy design. What do you guys think of the design of the Genosians here?
The Geonosians here definitely look a lot creepier than they do in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, they do, especially those kind of dead eyes that they got, like nasty.
And I don't. This is not a particularly Geonosian design, but I don't know. It kind of feels creepy.
Yeah,
It does kind of feel creepy when those steam weapons have those little fingers like clicking on the weapons. Like, what is that?
oh yeah, that Genosian elite weapon. Yeah, yeah. I mean, even boss comments saying that, ugh, this thing's ugly.
And basically Seb and Forge are basically being racist against the Geonosians, basically calling it disgusting. Like, God, God.
I mean,
Now the thing is with these guys, they love to do melee, and
yeah.
there are times where they have to use their weapons, their long range weapons, of course. But if you, I mean, you'll notice this in the game. But if you melee any enemy, you use like a shiv on your I don't know the proper
a wrist knife,
like a knife or
sword,
something.
a wrist
Yeah,
knife.
you pretty much hit the enemy, and there's blood that comes onto your visor, and it just wipes off. It cleans off. And it's not only that them, but it's also the droids as well. And you can get like black like oil on your thing, and they make like screaming sounds, and they die in pain. It's just it's kind of brutal at times.
Kind of reminds me of a good. I think the Geonosians level reminds me of a good version of Aliens Colonial Marines. 'Cause that's basically what you are. You are a bunch of commandos attacking an alien species. Yeah. It's like if Colonial Marines was good. That's what I describe the Geonosis levels.
The blood and oil stains will also appear on your visor if you use a blaster on an enemy too. Well, I say too closely. It doesn't harm you, but yeah, whether you use a blaster or your wrist blade, if you're close enough, you will get those stains. And seeing the wipe come along and clean it off the visor is probably one of the coolest. It's such a small touch, but it's probably one of the coolest things you'd see in any Star Wars game.
As far as I know, not many first-person shooters do that in regards to having blood splatter in your face. At least not in the in the 2000 early 2000s and even the mids. I think it was until Modern Warfare 2 where they actually started putting blood splatter and everything. But only a few games did it before. Metroid Prime 1 was one of the first that did it, and it just wiped out by itself. There was no cleaning visor. And Republic Commando has the cleaning visor itself. So there weren't many FPS that I could think of that actually had blood splatter in your visor. So
And I also have to mention this. Since it was the early days of gaming, you still have the ability to manually save. I mean, it's not much of a big deal regarding this game, but the ability to save whenever you want is a huge deal now because modern games don't do that.
only some RPGs do it, and some indie games, but that's about it. Yeah, this game has an autosave and a manual saving system, so it's basically both. Kind of like Coder 1.
And I also have to talk about the battle droids, boys. Since this is not TCW, the droids don't go around saying dumb shit, and they are very serious at what they do.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the droids, so the standard B1 battle droids have a very different design. One that's very unique to this game.
They're very gray and blackish, I think.
Yeah, they are. They are pretty different. They're not the standard B1 battle droids from episodes 1, 2, and 3. Like
They look almost run. They look almost run down. Weirdly.
yeah,
And strangely, they're not voiced by Matthew Wood.
No.
it is interesting in regards to the droids. And the super battle droids, these guys are fucking tanks when it comes to how much damage you need to dish to deal against them. Because holy shit, they are insane. My God.
Yeah, but that's the problem people seem to understand. You're not supposed to waste your entire clip on these guys.
No, what you're meant to do is basically have all four commandos shooting at it, and it works. But there are those times that actually you have to get a bit more lethal. But by those times, you would already have the DC-17 anti-armor attachment or the sniper attachment. Both of them pretty much doing good enough job to killing, especially the anti-armor. Oh, and of course, the electrical grenades also do a good job at defeating them too. So there's multiple ways to deal with them. So, yeah. So those battle droids are not really the worst when it comes to the enemies in here. The worst are, I'd say, are those motherfucking big giant spider droids that come out. The first one we meet is when going to the core ship. I think it was called the ADSD Advanced Dwarf Spider Droid. Yeah, those things. Those things are fucking lethal as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have much problems because I already put the squad into positions where you use sniper rifles or anti-armor or grenades. So that's not much of a problem for me.
Yeah, I did that. I did that too in my medium playthrough, prepare for this podcast. But let's just say that even with that, that thing was still packing a wallop. I think it killed. Oh yeah, it killed Seb in my when I was inside the core ship. But that was because Seb was like I put a limited target, and Seb was like went directly into the spider droid, and I was like, why are you going over there?
The main thing you need to remember with dealing with those spider droids is that they've got a small red core in the center that you have to shoot.
Yeah.
That's literally the only vulnerable spot they have. If you're shooting at them anywhere else, yeah, good fucking luck.
Yeah, I don't really know about that, Luke, because sometimes I don't think the game was properly programmed in certain cases, because I do shoot other parts like the leg or the backside, and they do still take damage. I don't know what's with my copy, or maybe a glitch.
No, I think you do damage, but it's very little. The real bulk of the damage is a small red orb. That's the bulk of the damage. So, anything else to mention on the Geonosis Act?
Oh yeah, Geonosian elites are fucking annoying.
Oh yeah, fuck them. Yeah, honestly, screw those bugs. I wish there was a way to squash them like the bugs they are.
Yeah, and when you actually get close enough to melee them, they don't die after getting stabbed.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
You have to shoot them until they explode or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta shoot it with the sniper and such. Yeah.
Before we move on to the second act, I wasn't sure where the most appropriate part of the discussion would be to bring this up. But when I first played this game, I noticed how each major chapter, if you like, of each act is broken up into a bunch of mini levels, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you could say it's certain levels in the entire chapter. Yeah.
Because you guys have a much better understanding of gaming in general than I do, I was wondering, do you know where Republic Commando got that influence from? Having a bunch of mini levels make up an entire chapter?
I'd say first Call of Duty would be one of those, because it was already doing that at the time.
Oh, okay.
Though Halo also, well, actually, Halo didn't do it. Halo was using multiple missions, and there were hardly any loading screens in between them. No, I think Call of Duty would be the one that better has that. I know Metroid Prime did not do it, so no. I think the first Call of Duty would be the ones. It's released 2003.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's just a very peculiar level structure, not just for a Star Wars game, but for a game in general to have. No other game that I've played has level structure quite like this game does. So I was kind of wondering why, as I say, it's almost like you're playing through a very short TV episode, with each level that makes up a chapter.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so anything else to mention before we move on?
Yes, I have one final thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think before we even start into Geonosis, we have to talk about the opening theme to this game, which is fucking amazing. So I have to read this Wikipedia entry so everyone has an idea of like kind of like the behind the scenes for this.
Mm.
So it's called VOD On. It's Brothers All. It plays in the main menu and several key points throughout the game, such as when the players clone commandos defeats a large group of enemies. And the theme, as well as several other key music pieces, have additional choral lyrics in the Mandalorian language. And these lyrics actually further inspired author Karen Travis to develop the Mandalorian language into a fully working language you can see in the Republic Commandos books. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's such an amazing and awesome theme that really opens up, like sets up for the game to be just an awesome experience.
Hmm. Yeah, indeed. I mean,
Another interesting case for this is, I think that Boldeon music was actually used in one of the Source Tour expansion packs.
one of the Soldier expansion packs?
Yeah, it was.
I don't remember. I need to. Let me check that quickly.
And the term clanker, which is commonly used in TCW, I think it was first used in here.
Hmm. Oh, it actually was in the Old Republic Knights of the Fallen Empire. Oh, and it's even in the Force Unleashed 2 somehow. So that's something. Okay. Anything else, guys? Shall we now move on to Act 2?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, Act 2. The Prosecutor. Okay, so the Prosecutor. Well, this is where I say the game becomes a Star Wars horror game of sorts, at least at the beginning, because Delta Squad is pretty much split in order to explore the Prosecutor, because it's an abandoned ship that somehow appeared out of nowhere, and they basically have to explore it. And you as boss, you have to of course explore it, and so you start exploring it, and the atmosphere and the music already makes it like creepy, very creepy to explore. Like it definitely gets close it gets very close to the vibes of some of the more scarier moments of the Metro Prime trilogy. Like it gets close to that, and then you explore, you find one clone that gets wrecked by something, and then you hear the 6-2 was basically overrun by something that was giving him static and some sort of thing he called a mechanical bolt or something like that. And then you realize, oh wait, it's freaking mini scavenger droids that are going after your head. Huh. So yeah, managed to take them out, and then you realize, oh, Trandoshans are in here. Oh boy. And yeah, they managed to capture Seth, but you managed to then reunite with Fixer, and then you rescue the other two and deal with the Trandoshans. Then turns out the Trandoshans wanted to apparently make a deal with the Separatists, so they got some battle droids. So you gotta fend off both factions, and yeah, that's how that act goes. So what do you guys think of this act?
It's definitely very ominous, as you said, General, with how it starts off. And the little scavenger droids, those things are fucking pests.
Well,
Like, the beam that they shoot that drains your shields and health, I would say it's almost as deadly as the aforementioned heat ray or whatever it is that the Geonosians use.
Geonosian
That
lasers are still the worst.
That beam can get through your health if it gets through your shields.
Yeah, but it's not as efficient.
Good thing about that thing is, at the least, if you hit it once with any weapon, it will just explode. I thought it wouldn't work on something like a short distance weapon like shotgun, but even if a single pellet hits that thing, it will just crash.
Yeah, the scavenger droids does some sort of a suicide attempt to pretty much explode in your face if just one bullet of any of your weapons pretty much hits it. Even the electrical grenades also trigger the suicide attempt.
And it goes back to my point, because these things act like freaking face huggers.
Yeah.
So it really is a good version of Colonial Marines.
Well, I guess this game got some inspiration from Alien.
I mean, you have disgusting looking aliens in some kind of a hive. Check. You also have annoying little fuckers that trying to eat your face. So it is a aliens game.
I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, cause didn't Star Wars get some inspirations from Alien in a few areas, a few points?
Maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So
Mm.
there is that. Now, in regards to the prosecutor, here's where we get four weapons from the Trandoshans, and you wanted to talk about the weapons to Django?
Yeah, before we get into the weapons, I just want to talk about the level real quick.
Mm.
So, I have to say, when I was a lot younger, when I first played the game, when it first came out, it scared the shit out of me. Okay,
I did too.
it really did.
Yeah.
Um, Especially when, I mean, it's not like the level of scare where when I was a lot younger and I played Halo 1 and I first faced off the flood that I turned off the console and waited like a couple days before I replayed the game. It's not to that level, but it was still scared of me, especially when the Trandoshans with the swords appeared and they just charging at you. And there's a lot of jump scares, and I think they're actually really effectively done. They're not like really cheap. Well, for the most part, I don't think they're really cheap and stuff. But when the Trandoshans appeared with the swords, but I do think it was really effective horror in the beginning, and I've never seen that, especially in a Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it did it really effectively well.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't come to the level of scare of Halo 1's Flood reveal or some of the more intense, scary moments of the Metro Prime trilogy. It doesn't get to GFS Valhalla levels like in Metro Prime 3, where that shit is one of the scariest things you'll ever explore.
I mean,
It doesn't get close to that.
if
But
you want Star Wars horror,
Star Wars horror is a fucking rarity. We only got it in a novel, Death Troopers, and
and
elements of it.
and you know what's the weird thing? Now thinking about it,
Hmm.
Joe Schreiber, the writer of Dead Troopers, also wrote Mole Lockdown, and the weapon LS-160 is referenced in the Mole Lockdown.
Well, that's interesting. I guess he liked that. That's something. So, but yeah, Star Wars horror is a rarity. Only two Star Wars games have done it: Republic Commando and Knights of the Old Republic One, as far as I know when it comes to horror, and that's pretty much it. So it's never got to that level, to any other first-person horror game. Which, I mean, sucks. Star Wars has the potential to do that, but that, that's another topic. We've already discussed
I
how
mean,
much we want a Dead Space type Star Wars game before.
the first-person shooter horror did come out later in the same year. Fear is a good example for that.
Well, there's that, yeah. There also several other horror games were releasing, the Silent Hill games, etc. So there was plenty of horror there, but Star Wars is a rarity. So
I think there is one that really comes to mind. It's a little minor level. It's in Battlefront 2, and there's like a custom. I forget what it's called, the exact mode, but you face off. You play as the rebels, and you face off against the Wampas.
you mean hunt mode?
Yeah, hunt mode. Like when the Wampas come charging at you, I mean they run pretty fast and they come at you. I mean it gets scary sometimes.
It's
You can catch you off guard,
tense. It's tense, but I
but
wouldn't call it
it's not true
scary.
horror, of course.
Yeah, it's tense, but I wouldn't call it scary. No, especially because the Wampas they don't really look that scary in that game. So there is that. No, if I want to get closer to something like a scary, look no further than the Rakul section of Terrace in Quarter One. That definitely gets more on the scarier side.
Yeah, absolutely.
So indeed, so that and the prosecutor at the beginning is definitely the scariest levels we've seen in Star Wars video games. So yeah, but anyway, that's in regards to the horror. Now, in regards to the game, the level itself. The first 1/3 of it, you're like alone, and then you have to later reassemble a squad in order to mount a counter attack. So the Trandoshans here, they're bastards. I'll say that they're fucking bastards.
They're slavers.
Yeah, they're motherfucking slavers.
Did they seem smaller than what you would think Trandoshans are? Am I the only one that thinks that? Or
Boss does say they're fat as fuck. So I guess in this case, the Trandoshans here are probably just they're probably some other race or whatever. Like, are there any like specific are there like a specific cultures of Trandoshans or something though one, or they're all the same?
I mean, you see Empire Strikes Back and Bosk does not look like these guys at all.
So there's several types of Trandoshans then.
I think they're just base enemy. It's just designed like that because who cares about Trandoshan diversity? They're just generic enemies here.
The mercs and the elite definitely look a bit more on the Trandoshan side because they're not as fat as the basic slavers with the knives and the shotguns. They definitely look more like them. But yeah, it definitely is interesting. The design
And
of
if you
Trandoshans.
look at their weapons, the weapons are more crudely designed. They have some kind of a miniature fire extinguisher inserted to their weapons since they're less sophisticated when it comes to their weapon designs.
Yeah, I mean, there are Trandoshans, so there's that. But yeah, they have their concussion rifle, their shotgun, which it's kind of interesting. Boss says that he didn't think that people were even using shotguns anymore. So that makes me wonder: are there any other times that there's been shotguns in Star Wars aside from Battlefront 2 or Battlefront 1 and 2?
I think they're talking about like slug throwers, so actual projectile-based weapons are actually used, but I don't know about shotguns.
As far as I know, I don't remember seeing any shotguns in Star Wars. Both the Republic and the Separatists don't use shotguns. Unless you count Battlefront 2, of course, with the engineers actually using shotguns. But that, I think it's gameplay, so I don't know if it is actually canon. So, have you guys seen any shotguns in the EU used during the Clone Wars or before? So I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think I do remember seeing shotguns being used in Star Wars Galaxies, but I'm not sure about that.
Galaxies, maybe. Maybe there is that, yeah. Indeed. So, that's something, yeah. Anything else you guys want to discuss on the prosecutor level?
Yeah, Trandoshan weapons mostly suck.
Which is the one you think actually is good or
I
at least
mean,
isn't?
a shotgun isn't really that powerful. I would expect a shotgun. Like, if you imagine a shotgun when you play a video game, you expect if you shoot it at a body, it's like one shot, one kill, right? In
One or
close
two
range.
shot kills, yeah.
These things don't work. You have to shoot it 2 times to get one killed.
In my playthrough, there was a few times that I actually was able to kill him in one shot, but it's because I had to point at the face. So that's pretty much
And
why. Which with shotguns, you normally don't do that because a shotgun is supposed to hit every single part of the body.
And the Trandoshan SMG is the worst weapon in this game because that thing doesn't work.
Oh yeah, the ones used by the Trandoshan marks. Yeah,
But
that's
the weird thing about the Trandoshan SMG is like when they use it against you, it seems to work pretty well, but when you use against them, it doesn't do anything.
that is something, yeah. The weapon that I think is the best from the Trandoshans is the heavy accelerated the repeater gun, the one used by the Trandoshan elite. However, don't use it on the battle droids because apparently it's not that useful against them. It drains a lot of ammo against them and it doesn't do much damage compared to using the regular DC-17 blaster mode. So you definitely use it against the Trandoshans, not so much against the droids.
But the LS-160
Yeah.
Trandoshan minigun, that thing's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one I was saying right now, the repeater gun. So yeah, that actually is pretty good. Of course, it's rare because only Trandoshan elites use it, so there is that. Indeed. And fun fact about the Trandoshans, they're like, at least the slavers, they're the only ones that carry grenades. Oh, and the mercs too. So if you need to refuel thermal detonators, then they got them. So just kill them off. So yeah. Small thing about the prosecutor level. There is this one part where you actually find a lightsaber. Don't know why, but it's there as an Easter egg.
An elegant
It's in-
weapon for an old age. Guess what? Times have changed.
Yeah, and that's actually the name of the level where you find it. Oh, just a couple of things. One thing I wanted to say about the Trandoshans real quick. The basic Trandoshans, you can deal with them pretty easily with a wrist blade to the face. But then you get the elite Trandoshans, I think, with with more armor that use those repeater blasters. Those guys are hard if you're not careful.
Yeah, so let me elaborate there on that, Luke. So I fired 4 shells, 4 grenade launchers, anti-armor on them, and they still live. They don't die after getting hit by 4 grenade rounds.
That is
Uh,
something.
Mm.
You know, one of my favorite parts of the prosecutor is when you're first in the hangars, where basically you have to lay all the traps and be ready to fend off the droids. That I think is actually pretty cool because you get pretty tactical on where to put the traps and everything, and to also pretty much blow off some debris so you can get a turret and some ammunitions out, and pretty much be ready to fend them off. I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. That is pretty cool.
If you don't know what you're doing, you are gonna die, and the game is gonna be very, very frustrating. You need to know where to place your enemies, where to set up the traps, and what weapons to use. You heard that, Eckhart's letter?
Yeah, there's that indeed, yeah. Thankfully, this game has 3 difficulty modes, easy, medium, and hard. Easy is not necessarily super easy to the point in which basically if you do jack shit or are just like taking it way too much like joking nature, then you won't pretty much die or anything. It can be a bit of a challenge, but definitely it's actually this game's equivalent of I don't know, you could say ultra violence from the 2016, something like that. And then when you get to medium, that definitely, it's supposed to be the normal mode, but it's pretty challenging for a normal mode. Actually, I died a fair bit of times, and also my Republic Commando squad mates also were dying a few times. So it's pretty challenging, especially in the later campaign. So I'd say it's more of a like not Nightmare from the 2016, but in between Ultraviolence and Nightmare. And then hard, yeah, that's just Nightmare mode. Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta watch out where you throw your weapons or shoot at them because if you don't, your squad mates will turn against you. And when you kill them, you can't revive them.
Wait, what?
You're stuck in limbo.
I
You didn't know that your squad mates could actually turn against you?
No.
Yep.
I actually didn't
if
know
that
'cause I
actually
never do that.
happens, there's no way but to kill them all, and you can't revive them. So you're fucked.
Wow. I mean, the only players that would do that are the assholes that like to work alone and not just to see what the hell happens. But
I mean, sometimes you do. It is beneficial to get your squad killed intentionally because if you revive them using the portable recharger thing, it takes your health up a certain point,
yeah,
which
half
is
of it.
higher than the current health they have.
Well, there's that, but I always have my squad always fully healed up whenever I get it. I pretty much want them already, including myself, with full health, full everything. So like always, I hardly send them with like half health or less. Like I always
Yep.
tell them to heal up. It is pretty damn important, especially in the latter difficulties, hard in particular. So yeah, you definitely have to work as a team. There's no I in team or you in team. It's a team. So
You will lose health quickly in the higher difficulties. So
yeah, indeed. So there is that indeed. So yeah, anything else to mention on the prosecutor level?
It was cool to actually shoot one of the walkers, cannons, and that thing is so strong you could destroy droid dispensers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that shit is pretty cool. Yeah, definitely is pretty cool indeed. Okay, well now we get to the Kashyyyk chapter. Okay, this is interesting because not only is this pretty much a lead up to the Kashyyyk battle for episode 3, not only that, but also some interesting story events happen in this level. Well, Delta Squad begins pretty much being pretty much sent to investigate the presence of the Separatists and the Trandoshans to the planet. They annihilate several targets, wreck the shit out of the Trandoshans, and then they have to... Oh yeah, they have to also rescue Tarful. Pretty important, because apparently Tarful was captured. So yeah, they manage to save Tarful. They briefly encounter one certain very important general from the Separatists and then fight its guards. Who was it, guys?
Grievous.
General Grievous.
Yep. General Grievous is here. And he pretty much escapes, and the Magna Guards are the ones you have to fight. So, yep. You could definitely say he was a coward.
Now that the reveal has been brought up, the chains are broken, and I can comment on this. You literally see Grievous, I think a Magna Guard with him, and his ship, literally right through a window. Like you're looking out of a window at one point, and he's right there. I mean, but he doesn't take any notice or anything. In fact, could you imagine if instead of facing the Magna Guards for the first time, it was Grievous that you faced?
Nah, you will get slaughtered because
You'd
this
get
was
slaughtered.
like 2005. This is not TCW Grievous. You gotta remember that. So you are getting stopped.
No, not only that. Even if TCW didn't exist, keep in mind we already have material of a fully fledged Sith Lord beating the shit out of Republic Commandos. I'm talking about Darth Vader destroying the entire Republic Commando squad in Dark Lord Rise of Darth Vader. So
And that was released after this game. So
yeah, but even still, I mean, if that shit can exist and show that, yeah, you don't fuck with Sith Lord, even if you're a Republic Commando, then Grievous, even his TCW self would beat the shit out of him. I mean, that was Darth Vader still like getting his armor.
not really normal Gungan soldiers, not the elite types.
Okay, never mind. Yeah,
TCW.
yeah,
So no.
yeah. TCW Grievous is very inconsistent when it comes to how good he is.
That's yeah. So you don't face Grievous, but don't underestimate the Magna Guards. They will tear you to shreds. The only way you stand a chance against the Magna Guards, especially the first time around, is to set your comrades up in positions. That's it.
Yeah, in fact, I think some people might have been disappointed when they eventually saw the Magna Guards in Revenge of the Sith, because look how badass they're featured in the micro series in this game, and they're like easily dispatched in the movie itself.
I mean, they are in a way, but they still provided some challenge to Anakin and Obi-Wan in the bridge. But of course, they weren't nearly as badass as Clone Wars 2003 in this game. Yeah.
But you also have to remember, in Revenge of the Sith, it was Anakin and Obi-Wan, two of the top premier Jedi of the prequel era order that those Magna Guards were facing. So, not the best odds, even for them.
Basically, Kashyyyk level makes it clear that this is, after all, a Revenge of the Sith tie-in.
Yeah, definitely. So there is indeed. Now, in regards to how Kashyyyk looks itself, the planet looks very interesting. It's always at night, save for, I guess, the very end. So it's always at night, and it definitely looks like one of those levels you could probably see in something like Half-Life 2, if you ask me, something like that. Like you could kind of see it existing there, or something like Unreal Tournament 2004, which is something interesting. I bring that comparison to Unreal Tournament because we forgot to mention that this game is using the Unreal Engine from that time. Unreal Engine 2.5, I believe it was.
Yeah, another thing I do have to mention is the pronunciation of Kashyyyk, because there are still people in 2005 using the pronunciation Kashyyyk, which gets on my nerves because, like, did anyone bother to check and say, no, it's not Kashyyyk, it's Kashyyyk?
Well, don't worry. It's like you know, for years it was like Coruscant, and now it's Coruscant. You know, but that, I mean, to be fair, that was a completely different thing because of the prequels and stuff like that. Properly.
Yeah,
addressed that,
because
but,
like
yeah.
there are two different sets of pronunciation is used. So one guy says Kashyyyk, and some other guy says Kashyyyk. Like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you people?
I mean, yeah, that is something indeed. Anyway, so discussing the level itself, I think the level design is pretty interesting here. The Wookiees certainly look pretty damn tall. I mean, I mean, even comparing to what we see in the movies, like the ones in here are even taller and stronger. Like they look way stronger and taller than they ever did in the movies. Like Tarful, like he looks way more tougher and meaner here than in the movie.
It makes you wonder how Trandoshan even got them as slaves in the first place.
Yeah, it is definitely something. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
I found
mean,
Tarful like a tank, but like every other Wookiee, I mean, especially in the harder difficulties, they died pretty quickly.
And also these Wookiees are very stupid because they basically run charging through the enemy, except for Tarpol, and they get instant killed.
oh god.
I think that's kind of the answer as to why the Wookiees got captured. They're not necessarily the most intelligent species.
Well, at least when it comes to combat, especially against their nemesis, because when it comes to fixing stuff, they are pretty damn good at that.
I mean, not really, because Canderous describes the Wookiees as formidable warriors in the Knights of the Old Republic games, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, but we have seen Shui being able to fix stuff before. I mean, he fixed the Falcon, he fixed C-3PO, like, and there's even other instances that we have seen Wookiees pretty much be able to create some stuff and everything. Like, they can be pretty good mechanics. They are pretty fierce warriors, but when it comes to fighting enemies that clearly have technology, stronger allies and stuff, then they definitely will not stand much of a chance. Why do you think the Republic had to help them in Episode 3? Because he couldn't fight the Separatists by himself.
And there's a lore reason for that.
Well, I
Because-
mean, the novelization of Episode 3 says because they wanted to draw out Darth Sidious, but even excluding that, I mean, the Wookiees themselves not going to do much without the aid of the Republic. So they still needed the help. So, anything else to mention on the Kashyyyk campaign, guys? Anything of note?
Yeah, I do have one thing. It's definitely the toughest for sure because you definitely face a lot more mini bosses and especially the boss at the end. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's the last level, so it's meant to be more challenging.
And I do find some of these sniping positions kind of questionable because they really use Wookiee corpses as sniping positions. Like, what is wrong with you?
Okay, that is something. God,
I mean, you didn't see that?
I actually didn't notice there were sniper corpses.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. No.
I noticed you could command your squad mates to do that in the playthrough I was doing earlier.
Yeah, I mean, that. Oh. I really like. Why would you place a sniping position using a Wookiee corpse? What is wrong with you?
I have no words for that.
Hey, war is hell.
I mean, yeah, but that is just something. Oh my god.
Gotta
Shouldn't that be
some-
considered a war crime, even if it's used on your allies?
Don't know. Oh god, that is indeed something. Yeah. Anyway, so anything else to mention, guys?
No.
Okay, well, okay, so now in regards to what I wanted to mention about the Kashyyyk level. Okay, the Kashyyyk level, it involves the end. So what happens at the end, guys, that is pretty damn meaningful?
I mean, two things happen.
Mhm.
One is important for the main plot of Revenge of the Sith,
Uh-huh.
and the other is Delta Squads.
Okay, you wanna say it?
At the end, Feb is attacked by Geonosians, I assume, and maybe Trandoshans, and then Boss loses his signal, which is kind of weird because if you actually use your sniper rifle, you could actually see Seb sitting in the turret without getting attacked.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that has to be some programming error in the game. They should have despawned Seth from the turret. So that's more of a programming error. So
It's in every version.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's gotta be a programming error in the game itself. So
And Delta Squad has to leave Seb, and Fixer and Scorch are arguing because they can't leave, but Fixer is more of a rigid soldier and says they have the evac. And the clone advisor basically tells them the order came from Yoda himself, the highest of the authority.
Oof.
Well, Palpatine is the only one higher than Yoda himself, but that's not the point. And then they leave Kashyyyk. And they get information from the clone advisor that this was a preparation for an entire invasion, and the invasion forces come, which leads to the events of Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm kind of surprised because it is actually set during Revenge of the Sith. Because no other multimedia project at the time actually went this close in the timeline.
I think it was like like once you finish Republic Commando, Episode 3's Battle of Kashyyyk starts probably right away. I think when you're going to the Kashyyyk level, when you begin it, I think Episode 3 is probably like I don't know, Obi-Wan and Anakin are probably still rescuing Chancellor Palpatine, and then once we get to the Kachira Bridge, I think by that point is like we are at that point when Anakin is starting to have the dreams and everything, and then Anakin is on the council, but they didn't grant him the rank of master. I think we are on that point, and then once we get to the end of the campaign, by that point we transition into seeing the Battle of Kashyyyk itself. Once the opera scene is already done, I'm getting to what we see at first of the battle. I think it's kind of like that, because you see Revenge of the Sith itself, it just can't happen in 1 or 2 days. There's transitions, so several days happened. So I think that seems to be the case.
Palpatine is already rescued and Anakin's already in Coruscant by the point that the ending of Republic Commando happens, right?
Yeah, it has to be, yeah. So I think Republic Commando does take place very, very shortly before we see the Battle of Kashyyyk in Episode 3.
Yeah.
So that has to be the case. Indeed. So yeah, so that's what happens. And as for Sev, what's his final fate? No idea!
Yeah, I mean, no idea in the literal sense because the Republic Commando novels do not show his fate either.
And we never got it because they never gave it to us. And
the idiot was running LucasArts in 2004 thought no one would be interested in Star Wars first-person shooters, so he canceled the sequel to Republic Commando even before the game actually came out.
Yeah, that is. I think it was Jim Ward who was leading it. I don't remember, but yeah. So yeah, we never got the sequel to Republic Commando, and Seth's fate is beyond unknown, and not even Karen Travis was allowed to pretty much reveal it. So nothing, literally.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Apparently, the reason being why Seth's fate could not be revealed in the Republic Commando novels is because Seth was owned by LucasArts, and there's like a different thing between Lucas Bugs and LucasArts company shenanigans.
Some shenanigans in regards to rights and things. It's just that shit. So yeah. Look, you got something to say about this?
It's incredibly disappointing. I mean, Doa has just mentioned there that there was some sort of licensing rights barrier between LucasArts and, did he say Lucas Books? As to why,
Yeah, Lucas Books.
for why Sev couldn't appear in Imperial Commando. But I wonder, did Karen Travis want to include Sev in the Imperial Commando books before that series was ultimately cancelled?
I mean, the Republic Commando, I think it was Imperial Commando or Republic Commando Order 66, I forgot. It states that the character Wallen Bao, which you could actually see his name in the loading screens, attempted to save Sev in Kashyyyk, but fails to in the last 2 novels of the Republic Commando series. And I think Karen Travis did mention that the right issue is the reason why she couldn't feature the fate of Sev, because that's up for LucasArts to do.
Fortunately, LucasArts never got around to doing that, and of course, Karen Travis couldn't do anything with that either because of the licensing debacle. So
That shit.
yeah, that got screwed.
Yeah,
I
that.
think similar thing happened later when it comes to Force Unleashed. That's the reason why Sean Williams couldn't write his version of Force Unleashed 3.
Because basically, LucasArts needed to do Force Unleashed 3. So.
Yeah, it seems like a problem with these people. Like, if you're not gonna do it and make a video game, then at least let people write a book about it. What is wrong with you?
I'll give. Oh, okay, for that, yeah, that definitely applies to Republic Commando. For Force Unleashed, we know that they actually did want to do it. It's just that a certain humongous event in Lucasfilm company history happened, and that canceled. So
Bought out by Disney.
yeah, so it's not like they didn't want to do Force Unleashed 3. It's just that Disney pretty much shut it down. With Republic Commando 2, yeah, that shit was canceled. So that definitely is some LucasArts cooperation.
Yeah.
But Force Unleashed.
So, like, even if Lucasfilm wasn't sold to Disney, there was never gonna be explanation on set.
Is likely no, or maybe we could have gotten it. It's just that there wasn't gonna be no video game for Republic Commando, and the reason why is not just because they had no interest in it. If you see financially, Republic Commando did not sell very well. It's actually one on the lower end of selling Star Wars games. It's not really a big seller. Now, I don't think it's the game's fault. I think it's more because LucasArts was basically promoting the shit out of other video games, Episode 3 video game, Battlefront 2, whereas Republic Commando got kind of the short end of the stick in a bit. So, plus a bit saturated against the other two video games. So Republic Commando was facing a bit of an uphill battle when it came to basically achieving the attention of everybody. And of course, most people were playing Battlefront 2 at the time. I mean, it was the best-selling Star Wars game up until The Force Unleashed came out. So, yeah, Republic Commando pretty much got the unfair end of the stick for multiple reasons.
I mean, just think about it. This was the same year with Revenge of the Sith video game. There's also Lego Star Wars, the video game.
Yeah, that too.
And there's Battlefront 2005. No wonder people call this time the golden age of Star Wars video games.
It is a golden age, though it unfortunately meant that one of those games was not going to get that much recognition or even people playing it, and that happened to be Republic Commando. So,
Right.
if Republic Commando had actually sold very well, we could have actually seen a sequel of sorts, whether it's a game or a book. Well, we did get books, but game, yeah, no.
About that.
Yeah.
Republic Commando did eventually get a video game sequel. Well, kind of. Not really. I mean, sequel is a sequel, right? It's just not the sequel you are expecting.
You're talking about the non-canonical sequel on fucking phones?
Yeah.
Oh god, Republic Commando Order 66, which is basically, not only is it not canon, but it's like, it's on phones, like, god damn it. No,
Yeah, so, yeah, here's your Republic Commando sequel. Read the book or play this obscure game from Nokia phones. Good luck!
Oh god.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Really? Yeah. They actually the only sequel we got, not only is it not canon, but it's on fucking mobile phones.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna read Republic Commando Order 66 and Imperial Commando, or play this thing?
Obviously we're gonna go for the books, because at least that's official, canon. So, yeah, the fate of Seth, yeah, completely unknown, and we got no sequels at all. The last thing we got that depicts Republic Commandos, or I guess Imperial Commandos in this case, was the Imperial Commando 501st book. That was it,
but
and
you know what's
that's-
the weird thing about it?
Hmm?
Sam's fate was not shown, but Republic Commando books, Order 66 and 501st, does show that the remaining members of Delta Squad eventually joined the Galactic Empire and become part of the Imperial Commandos.
Hmm?
So, like, why couldn't you also have Seth? Like, why were you allowed to have them becoming Imperial Commandos, but Seth is, like, somewhere? Like, what's the standard?
Well, we know that it's because of LucasArts rights to the character, but also because they probably were saving him for something big. Maybe they wanted him to actually go against Delta Squad turning Imperials. I don't know. I mean, I mean, there was potential for the stories, but we still have nothing, which sucks.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I thought I heard from some that one of Seb's potential outcome ideas was that he would become part of the Rebel Alliance.
That would have been interesting. So yeah, to Django. So in regards to Seb's final fate, what do you got to say?
I mean, it sucks. It was just a huge cliffhanger, and I mean, I was thinking that maybe the developers were just setting up for a second game, but I guess because of the non-success of it, that
No, it's not even the lower success or the lack of success or something. They canceled the sequel for Republic Commando even before the first game came out.
Yeah, but if Republic Commando had actually been a big seller, the sequel would have been greenlit. Because I mean, if it sells, why not give it more? So it just makes sense. Money can do the talking when it comes to greenlighting projects. Why do you think The Force Unleashed got a sequel? Even though that's probably one of the games that could have more than be okay if it was just one game. So yeah, like we could have gotten the sequel if the first game had been a seller, but because the seller was put in a very bad disadvantage when it came to competition against Star Wars video games, and hell, even other video games at that time. I mean, Resident Evil 4 released that same year, so yeah, Republic Commando faced a lot of competition, not just from Star Wars, but other video games too. So yeah, it was difficult for the game to pretty much achieve any sort of big success compared to other games. And because Battlefront 2 is Battlefront 2, of course it was going to achieve lots of success. And Episode 3, being the very straight tie into the movie, of course we're going to have guaranteed success. So, and Lego Star Wars is Lego Star Wars. So, yeah, like those were set to be successes. But Republic Commando had to do a lot, but it was just hampered by just releasing. I mean, yeah, 2005 was the best year of Star Wars, but you could also argue it was the worst time for Republic Commando that came out. I think that was the worst time. I probably released, I don't know, 2006 maybe, early 2006. I think could have had a chance actually.
And that wouldn't work because you do realize that it was part of the multimedia project intentionally designed to tie into the upcoming movie Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, yeah, there is that, but we also had Hard Contact and the other Republic Commando books. The game is part of the multimedia project, but you could make an argument that maybe out of all the things in the multimedia project, maybe if Republic Commando had been delayed, it could have given the game more of a leeway to actually have more breathing room for people to play it, instead of releasing the most crowded time for Star Wars video games. Yeah, I mean, though granted, 2006, if it was just releasing for the OG Xbox and the PC, that would have been a bit of a problem because in 2006, the Xbox 360 was already out and the PS3 was coming out soon, and then the Wii. So, now I think about it, I don't know what would be the best time for Republic Commando to come out. Maybe 2004? I don't know, it's difficult. What do you guys think?
I mean, it was originally intended to come out in 2004. I did see that in the back pages of some of the old Star Wars EU novels, and the game was supposed to come out in 2004 or something, but it was delayed.
To put a bit more polish. Understandable
But
delay.
then again, even if it did came out in 2004, it also had to compete with Knights of the Old Republic 2 and Star Wars Battlefront 2004.
I think those are better odds compared to 2005. 2005 Battlefront 2, the best-selling Star Wars game. Then you got Episode 3, and then you got Lego Star Wars. Yeah, those are way bigger hits compared to KOTOR 2 and the first Battlefront. I think it had a better chance in 2004.
Actually, something has just come to my mind hearing you guys talk about that. I wonder if the reason, or at least part of the reason, why Republic Commando didn't achieve the success that it perhaps deserved is because its contemporaries from that same year were far more direct Episode 3 tie-ins. The Episode 3 game is literally an adaptation of the film. A significant chunk of Battlefront 2's story and, well, the content that you can use generally in that game ties in with Episode 3. And then, of course, Lego Star Wars, the video game, also adapts Revenge of the Sith, whereas Republic Commando is its own story, with only very tangential connections to Episode 3 at the end. So do you think that the fact it was pretty much its own product, as it were, was part of the reason why it flopped, shall we say?
And the competition was too great, I think.
I think it was more the competition, because if it was the episode 3 problem, I doubt it, because the game was indeed marketed with the episode 3 tie-in. You know, having the trailer in the DVDs of the Clone Wars 2003. So I think it was marketed having episode 3 tie-in material to some extent. It's just that the thing is, the landscape was way too crowded. Not to mention, if you wanted to play a Star Wars shooter in 2005, guess which one is the one to play at that time? Take a guess.
Battlefront 2.
Exactly. So there's no way around it. People wanted to play Battlefront 2 way more than any other Star Wars game, with the only exceptions being Lego Star Wars, you know, for the kids, and Episode 3 because it was tied into the movie. That's what most people wanted. Republic Commando, I mean, it's a badass concept. It's badass everything. It's definitely a great idea, great concept, and execution. It's just that it came out at the worst time. If it had gotten released in late 2004, it probably would have had a better chance.
And I do think the thing is like this Republic Commando seems one of the good things I have to say is like it lacks the original trilogy imagery, because this thing is pretty much basically most of them have prequel imagery, and rarely it has anything to do with the original trilogy.
Yeah, that's mostly because there was no way you could put any sort of original trilogy material or assets or anything here. Whereas Lego Star Wars, you have the secret unlockable Episode 4 level. With Episode 3, you have the non-canonical map of the Death Star, plus Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. And Battlefront 2 was Battlefront 2. It has both eras. So yeah, there was no way they could tie it in, but I do agree that it definitely has that going for it, not having any ties to the original trilogy and being more tied to the prequel trilogy, so that is pretty good. So yeah, anyway, before we get to the Expanded Universe connections, Dowon, you wanted to bring something regarding the Kashyyyk campaign?
Yeah, so the Kashyyyk campaign is partially overwritten by Republic Commando Order 66. Now, this isn't a Jedi versus Sith versus Darth Bane Path of Destruction situation. Not even close. Because the way the EU is designed is actually, when it comes to similar events, when you compare a comic or a video game or some kind of a novel, usually the printed media are prioritized over the video game, right?
That is mostly because when it comes to video games, any part that the player controls any type of character or characters, like 100% control them, then that's where automatically it is deemed as non-canon.
So certain events are different. Non-existent dialogues from the Republic Commando Kashyyyk level exist. A Jedi called Itator Manic, which was introduced in Hard Contact, also appears alongside Delta Squad, and surprisingly, actually the ship that evacs you is from Quillen Boss.
Huh.
Quillen Boss is mentioned, and he was the one to help Delta Squad evac from Kashyyyk.
Well, that's something. It is pretty interesting. Yeah.
But the conclusion doesn't change because said fate is still unknown. So there's that.
Yeah.
Nothing was accomplished at the end.
The only thing accomplished here is that, of course, Order 66. Basically, that book's take on the battle for the Kashyyyk campaign of Republic Commando is pretty much taken as the canonical version, simply because, well, 90-95% of that campaign in Republic Commando, you have full control over it, so that means automatically it's not canon.
Yeah, so play the Geonosis level and the Ghost Ship level, turn up your game, and pick up Republic Commando Order 66.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that definitely is the case. So, yep, indeed. Anyway, so anything else to mention, guys?
No.
Okay. One thing to discuss before we get into discussing EU connections is that Republic Commando had a multiplayer component, and it was basically similar to what Halo 2 was offering in regards to having deathmatch, capture the flag, some other things. It was Republic Commando against Trandoshan mercs. So basically, it was what it was, and you could play it locally with people, or you could play it online. Now, of course, you can't play it online nowadays in Xbox. PC, you probably could. So yeah, you can play a split screen or through LAN parties or multiplayer. And it was decent. Wasn't bad. It was pretty decent for a multiplayer component. So it was pretty interesting. It was kind of like your typical FPS multiplayer at the time. So it was pretty good. So yeah. And as for the extras included, there's some behind the scenes videos included in this game that you see Tamora Morrison and others talking about how they were making the game and everything. And those were interesting to watch. Now, of course, you need to play the game itself to unlock them, but yeah, there were those few extras there. And those were pretty cool. I don't know what you guys think of the multiplayer and the extras.
Multiplayer, I personally didn't play, so I don't know.
Okay, the Django look?
I tried the multiplayer with a friend of mine from a different Discord server, and I mean, of course, they were small games with only maybe one or two other players and bots running around, but it was the online component. Unfortunately, though, you do have to use a bit of a workaround to actually get it to work. This is specifically for the PC version, by the way. But yeah, I mean, it's okay, but it's definitely not the main draw for this game. I don't.
Yeah, it's not. So yeah, the Django, thoughts on the multiplayer and the extras?
I remember playing it like at least like once or twice. It was fine. It was decent, but it was just not a memorable thing. I kind of played it and then just moved on.
Yeah, it's just a typical PvP multiplayer. It doesn't give us the actual strengths of Republic Commando, like squad mechanics. It did have the weapons, but that was about it, as far as I can tell, and some of the maps. But it didn't use the squad mechanics or anything. I think maybe a horde mode would have been better than multiplayer. I don't know about that. So probably would have been better. So yeah, something like Firefight from Halo or something. Though this was before that even existed, so there's that. So yeah, indeed. So yeah, now we get into the Expand Universe Connections for Commando, and okay, this is an interesting one. So okay, who wants to go first on this one?
I would say I have to mention the Battlefront 2004. I have to say is mentioned because it is the first depiction of Battle of Kashyyyk in any Star Wars media. And above all things, Star Wars Holiday Special is mentioned because a tree that appeared in Star Wars Holiday Special returns in Republic Commando.
I mean, it's not a surprise. The entirety of Kashyyyk is from the Holiday Special. So.
And let's see, Republic Commando Hard Contact is...
Well, I'm pretty sure all 5 books are, because they use the same characters from, this game, Delta Squad. Anyway.
I mentioned that 3-6 Darman is mentioned, and he and his squad is from Republic Commando Hard Contact.
I mean, I'm not surprised that Hard Contact is tied to this game. I mean, I say this game is tied to all 5 books because I mean they're using Delta Squad and several other events of this game are mentioning those.
I'm mentioning specific events.
There's that too.
And Hard Contact doesn't really reference things from Republic Commando, the game itself.
But the game does.
Yeah.
So.
And I have to say the Dark Forces series, technically, because it seems like a tradition that these Star Wars video games all have some kind of a concussion rifle.
A concussion rifle?
Yeah. You play Dark Forces, there's some kind of a concussion rifle that fires blue lasers. You play Dark Forces 2, there's also some kind of a concussion rifle. You play Jedi Outcast, there is a concussion rifle, right? Play Jedi Academy. What?
I mean that could be,
There's
but
a concussion rifle.
But it's not the same weapon. I mean, yeah, it's the same. It could be the same type, but it's not the same weapon.
No, it is not the same type. I'm just saying, it's not a reference, but I'm saying that it is there because it's a Star Wars FPS tradition, I think.
Actually, if you go to the first time concussion rifles even show up in Star Wars, and look no further than a good old Western Games book called Jedi's Honor.
And let's see, There were some other references I found. It's like Honor Bound, where they have that troop carrier before you enter the ghost ship,
Mm-hmm.
and the Micro series references the V-19 ships,
That's something.
and I think Scorch references a creature called Gurkat, which is referenced in X-Wing Raid Squadron,
Oh, interesting.
and Labyrinth of Evil, which shows that General Grievous was in Geonosis, and this thing shows his ship, implying that he is in Geonosis.
Yeah, indeed. Any other references?
Let's see. Yeah, not much. No.
Luke, the Django, do you got any references?
There are no references I know of, unfortunately.
The Django, do you got any EU references that came from Republic Commando? Or-
Just the novels. It's just there was one novel in particular that's like actually my favorite, 000, where Delta and Omega Squad actually worked together, and yeah, that was just fun to see them actually interact and actually be with one another and carry out the mission. That was actually really fun, and you don't really see them interact too much in the novels per se, but that was the one that they actually were in it heavily. So that was just nice for me to see.
Okay. In that case, as to what references did I find? Well, I found a good chunk. So, of course, the DC-17 itself first appears here. It's pretty much in every single media that depicts Republic Commandos. All of it, from not just Republic Commando books to Clone Wars Adventures, Honor Bound, as you mentioned, that one, Star Wars Insider 87 odds, TCW when it has freaking Republic Commandos, Reversal of Fortune, Dark Lord Rise of Darth Vader, because there's commandos there, Skywalker's The Clone Wars story, that's something. So yeah, and of course in Clone Commandos himself, which they first appear in the Cess's Deception, so there goes that. The song Bodeon first appears here and shows up in Republic Commando Hard Contact, 000 True Colors, Source 6, and Imperial Commando, those mentioned in the last three. It makes an appearance in Knights of the Fallen Empire and Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. Somehow it's in Force Unleashed 2. Okay. And of course, Delta Squad themselves, they appear in all the books, so no surprise there. And TCW. The EWHB 12 Heavy Repeating Blaster, it appears here, Hard Contact, even mentioned in Shatterpoint and the Age of Rebellion core rulebook. And now the Acclamator ship that helps you with destroying the droid control ship, in the Prosecutor campaign, it actually also appears in Empire at War. And its expansion, Force of Corruption, also appears there. Did not expect that, but yeah. And then the Prosecutor mentioned 000 and even the complete Star Wars Cyclopedia. So there you go. RC-1140, aka Fixer. Well, I mean, no surprise. Appears in all the books, CCW. So yeah, and complete Star Wars Cyclopedia. Yeah, same goes with the others. No surprise there. I mean, Tarful, he actually first appeared here. Yeah, he might be material from episode 3, but he first appeared here in this game. So this is his actual first ever appearance.
It is the episode 3 tie-in, right?
Yeah, it is. So, yep. Wallen Bao, he's first mentioned here in Republic Commando, but his first true appearance was in 000 actually. Like, he's mentioned in Hard Contact and Omega Squad targets, but in 000 is where he first truly appears. So, yeah, this is his debut in this game. So there is that. Then Kilura first appears in Hard Contact and it's mentioned here in Republic Commando. So, yep, that's pretty much a direct reference. Battle Droid Dispensers, they only show in the Primal Official Guide and LucasArts backup links. Same goes with the other droid dispensers, so no surprise there. The Chaikin Cluster, it shows up in the Complete Star Wars Cyclopedia and the online companion for the Essential Atlas. I'm surprised not the Essential Atlas itself, but okay. Then the ATSD Advanced Dwarf Spider Droid. Yeah, those annoying big fuckers. They show up only in Hard Contact later on, and the Complete Star Wars Cyclopedia, and the Clone Wars Campaign Guide even. So yeah. Then the LS-150 Heavy Accelerated Charged Particle Repeater Gun, or the minigun from the Trandoshan Elite. Yeah, that's Republic Commando here, and as mentioned before, it's in Maul Lockdown 2. So that's pretty interesting. Then, of course, the concussion rifles themselves. Well, this model first appears here, but it is mentioned, I think, in the later books. Yeah, it appears in Hard Contact 000 and True Colors. But concussion rifles in general, they first appeared all the way back to JNS Honor. So there is that. And the shotguns of the Trandoshans, they actually appear in Hard Contact, TCW. Yeah, they appear in TCW. They appear also in a story called Outfoxed, which that's a short story from TCW from 2008. So that's interesting. But even more interesting is that it shows up in Star Wars Kinect. Yeah, the AC particle array gun, the shotgun of this game, shows up in Star Wars Kinect. Okay, I didn't expect that, but yeah, that happened.
What? Are they gonna use that shotgun while playing I'm Solo?
Maybe. I don't know. That would have been funny. So yeah. Anyway, the AC particle repeater gun, the ones used by Trandoshan mercs, they also show up in Hardcon 000 and Kinect Star Wars too. God. Why do those two weapons show up in Kinect Star Wars? I mean, I know there are probably Trandoshans there, but come on. Oh my god. Also in the complete Star Wars Encyclopedia and even in Lords of Nahara. So yeah. The Separatist Cruiser, no, not the Separatist Cruiser, not the Transformation Cruiser that shows up in the Prosecutor. The cruiser that you have to pretty much destroy with the turrets, or like the one that shows up in the Battle of Kashyyyk. That one actually first appears here, but it actually also appears in The Force Unleashed. I'm surprised, but yeah, you can actually see it there in the Raxus level. It's smaller than what is Republic Commando, but it's there. So yeah, this game has a reference to The Force Unleashed 1 and 2. That blows my mind. And of course the Geonosian Elites, the Clone Wars campaign guide. So yeah, so we got plenty of EU references here, so plenty to pack. So yeah, and of course, let's not forget the Republic Commandos themselves. Well, though the Mandalorian roots of the Republic Commandos are more explored in the books themselves, but there are here in some way, most specifically with Bodhian itself. So there is that. So yeah, those are the EU references I got. You guys got any more, or shall we move on now to conclusion?
Let's go to the conclusion.
Okay, well, conclusion it is. So who goes first?
So, Republic Commando is a dark horse of the Star Wars video game library. If you have the means to play it, in fact, probably be mentioned exactly what it's available for. It did come out on the original Xbox back in the day, but you can still get it today on the PC, and I believe it was not the year just gone, but the year before, so 2021, that it was made available on the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch via the Racer and Republic Commando combo pack.
And also to be able to buy digitally.
So, if you have either of those two modern platforms, or of course an OG Xbox or a working PC,
Actually,
and you've yet to play this game,
actually, Republic Commando on Xbox, you can play it through backwards compatibility on any current Xbox One or Series S or X. So you can also play it in those two. You can buy it digitally, or you can have the original disc. So you can actually play it anywhere you want.
Okay, so point is, if you have the means to play this, and you've yet to do so, what are you doing? Pick it up. It is fantastic. It's an oldie, but damn, it's a goodie, and it's a reminder of a bygone era of when Star Wars games used to be quality products.
There's that. Okay, who goes next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
This is one of my personal favorite games, so I did enjoy talking about them. And they don't make games like this anymore these days.
No.
It was the golden age of Star Wars, and now, not so much. But while still playing it, I enjoyed it, and that's what it matters, I guess. Next.
Okay. The Django?
Yeah, it's like, was there any FPS for Star Wars games? I think this might be the only one.
First-person shooter Star Wars games, unless you discount Dark Forces 2, and the first-person parts in the Jedi Knight games, and of course playing Battlefronts 1 and 2 first person, then I guess this will be the only one.
I think this is awesome and it's an amazing experience. And if they try to replicate something like this in the future, I honestly don't think they could do better than this, to be honest. Just the way that games are nowadays, it's just you can't really expect too much nowadays compared to back in the day, which they cared and loved their games. And Republic Commando, you could see that. The ending was not the greatest, but everything but that is just fantastic. And you have this, likable squad, and having Tamora Morrison back, probably his best role as boss. And I don't know about you guys, but he was my favorite of the Republic Commanders. I'm sure you guys would think differently with Scorch or Sev, but that's the beauty of this game, is like every one of these, commandos is likable in their own way. Except for Fixer, he's just a stubborn asshole.
I mean, Fixer's just by the books, so which is fine
Yeah.
on my end.
Yeah. I mean, Fixer is his own thing, but that it's whatever. But they're all unique and they're all different in their own ways, and you don't want clones to be exactly the same too. So that's why they're kind of giving sort of like I wouldn't say Alpha Commando. Is it Alpha? Yeah.
More of like
Arc
clones with their own
Commando.
personalities and distinctions.
Yeah, they're not like Arc Commandos. Those are kind of more. I would think they're like more like emotional and a lot different than the regular Republic Commandos, but they're still unique and different than regular clones.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gameplay is awesome, story is awesome, and it's highly recommended you guys go out and play this game.
Okay. Then in that case, okay, now it's my turn. Okay, so Republic Commando. Great game. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I do wish there would have been a sequel to iron out some few flaws that the game might have, and of course to know what the fuck happened to Seth. But that's a pipe dream at these days. So we're not gonna get something like Republic Commando ever again. Not with how Star Wars being handled nowadays. Even if we got it in the Disney Star Wars era, it's not gonna be the same, and it's not gonna be nearly as good. I do not think they will be able to accomplish the squad mechanics, the gritty art style, and everything. Just I doubt it. No way. Just I don't think so. No, this game really is a relic of its time, in a good way, not in a bad way. So yeah, it's good that at least we got it available on every single platform. You can play it on Switch, PS4 through the Aspire re-release, or you can play the original using the disc or digital in Xbox Series X or Xbox One, or on PC, of course. So yeah, you can pretty much play whenever you want. So yeah, and definitely give this game a shot. Play it; it's amazing. And so yeah, and with that, well, this is pretty much Republic Commando game. And so yeah, we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye bye.
Bye.
Guys.
Lock and load, Doubters.